Hey guys, it's Rachel with Bee Hill Dog Training. Actually, that's Hank. Hank and I are working on some recall, which includes coming when called and then coming to a sit when he gets to me. And he really struggles with remaining in a sit. And I know that's something that a lot of people struggle with, is getting their dog to maintain commands longer than just a second, put their butt on the ground, pop it up, get their treat, and move on with their life. So I just figured I'd do a little video to show you how we're building that up. So what I've done so far with him is he's got his prong collar on. I've taught him that upward leash pressure is a cue to sit. So what you do is you give upward leash pressure that you hold steady. The moment their butt hits the floor, you release that pressure. I click when he does it and he gets food, right? If your dog, a lot of dogs, the very first time you do that will naturally sit. You're guiding basically the front end of the dog up, the back end wants to go down. You release when the butt hits the ground. And then we're going to mark that with a click and food. If the leash pressure is not enough, then you would just, while you're holding that steady pressure, 2 fingers right at the base of the tail, not a flat palm. A lot of them will push really hard against a flat palm. So 2 fingers base of the tail, steady pressure until they yield to it, and then release. So where we started with him was, if the moment his butt hit the ground, he got a click, and if he stood up afterwards, that's fine. We'll reward it, but he's kind of past that now. So it's a little hard to juggle the clicker and the food and the camera, so I'll do my best here. So this is how we're going to build up that duration. Hank here. So we're doing our recall. Good boy. He's distracted by something, that's okay. So I'm going to cue the sit. Good. I'm going to click. If the butt comes up, I'm going to put him back into a sit before giving him his food. And really where he is right now is right here, where as soon as he gets the food, the butt wants to come back up. So I just cue him to go back into a sit before I release him. I'm not going to give him another treat at this point. That's important, or else it will become a game of, hey, every time I pop my butt up, I put it back down and get more food. Break! And then I'll release him. So normally I would do this a little more fluidly. I'm having to, in between, release my leash pressure to grab my kibble. Normally I'd be using my other hand for that, and I could very quickly add that leash pressure back. So show you what that looks like here. So really, ideally, I'm going to cue for the sit. Hank, sit. Upward pressure. I'm going to get his attention over here. He's looking at something. Upward pressure, release. Good. And then if his butt comes back up, watch now, he's going to have fantastic duration. Basically, I'm keeping my leash short so that the moment he starts to come out of that sit, I can, bam, have, right there, bam, have the leash pressure back on and release. Okay? And I'm just going to keep repeating this. I'm not going to let him get away with, coming out of the sit on his own and going, just don't worry about it. No, I'm going to ask him to go back as many times as it takes. And the more we work on this, the longer I'm going to wait to click and reward. So again, beforehand, what we were doing was, as soon as I clicked, his butt would come up. Now he's doing pretty well at the click, but as soon as I hand him the food, that's when he's wanting to get back up. So I'm prepared to put him back into a sit. Break. Now, this is how we're starting off with that. What will happen is after we've worked on this up to a certain point where he knows what he's supposed to be doing, then there will be a correction for breaking the sit. And all that'll look like is, if he breaks the sit, it'll be a quick leash pop and then put him back into a sit. Or when we get to our remote collar work, a remote collar correction. But we're not going to start there. We want to start with just lots of cueing so that we're showing him what we want. And what we want is that you remain in a sit. And a lot of dogs, just doing that will make a big difference. Might not be perfect, not that it ever's perfect, but it'll make a big difference there. But he's just a good one to show you because he really tends to come. I mean, when we first started, my leash looked like this. Because I was just constantly having to cue him. His butt would go down and pop right back up and go down and pop right back up. So we've made a good bit of progress here. So again, I'm just going to sit. Good. Good. Making him hold it a little bit longer. Click. Be prepared to grab my leash and have him go back into an SIT. Break. Good job. So what I wanted to do there, very good. And I'm going to go ahead and give him another click. It would have been better if I clicked a little bit sooner for that. Multitasking here. So what I did there is he did a good job of staying in a sit longer after I gave him the food, so I wanted to go ahead and release him before he had a chance to release himself. It is perfectly fine to do that earlier on in your training. Release them before they can release themselves, and then you'll have them focus on or practice with staying in the sit longer before you release. So just wanted to point that out. We'll do one more for you here. Hank here. Good boy. Good boy. And we'll cue. Good. Yeah, make yourself nice and comfy. I'm waiting. Give my click. Give my food. Break. Very good. So you can see, even just in the span of, this 5-minute video, there's been a pretty good difference there with him holding his sit. That's how we're going to do it with all the commands. If he's breaking a down, it's just cue him back into a down. Once we've practiced that enough that he knows it's expected, then there will be some sort of correction for breaking the down command. Same with place, same with all that. So hopefully this helps you guys if you're struggling with dogs maintaining their commands. You have to guide them through it. You can't do this without a leash. You can, but you're going to struggle. So use a leash. Let that leash help you communicate. Your training is going to go so much faster that way. And just be really clear about what you want.